So we are going to learn Haliddakani Sutta. Thus have I heard, on one occasion, the Venerable Mahakaccana was dwelling among the people of Avanti on Mount Papata at Kururagara. Then the household Haliddakani approached the Venerable Mahakaccana, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said to him, Venerable Sir, this was said by the Blessed One in questions of Magandhya, of Atakkavagga. And these questions of Magandhya is in the Kuddaka Nikaya, Sutta Nipata, where the Magandhya went to give in marriage his daughter to the Buddha. Buddha said, I am not going to even touch from my feet. And then Magandhya asked, if you are not expecting this sort of thing, what are you expecting? Then Buddha, from this number of gathas, explained to Mahagandhi, and this is one of the gathas that in Pali says, Okampahaya Aniketa Sari, Game Akubbam Munisattavani, Kame Ritto Apurukkarano, Katanna Vigi Janena Kairam. Having left home to roam without abode, in the village sage is intimate with none, rid of sensual pleasures without expectations, he would not engage people in dispute. How, Venerable Sir, should the meaning of this, stated by the Blessed One in brief, be understood in detail? Venerable Mahakaccana always explained the opposite term, and then Venerable Mahakaccana explained the term. The form element householder is the home of consciousness. One whose consciousness is shackled by the lust for the form element is called one who roams about in a home. The feeling element is the home of consciousness. Perception element is the home of consciousness. Volitional formations element is the home of consciousness. One whose consciousness is shackled by the lust for the volitional formations element is called one who roams about in a home. It is in such a way that one roams about in a home. So little while ago you look at, there are 4 homes for the consciousness. Remember in the diagram we were looking at a little while ago, when we get the physical nutriment and then we come to the barb of lust, we go back to the physical nutriment. So the physical nutriment becomes the home of consciousness. In the second one we get the feeling. And when you come to the barb of hate, we go back to the feeling. So the feeling becomes the home of consciousness. On the third path, from the perception we come to the barb of views. So then we go and hold the perception. So that becomes the home. So the fourth one, the volitional formations, construct the consciousness as nutriment. And then we get the barb of delusion. So we go and hold the volitional formations. So those are the 4 homes. So then one good example over there is that, in one bite, when the form become home for consciousness, that you eat one bite and then from here to here you get the feeling. After that on you don't. So you go back to the form again. So the Venerable Mahakaccana explained the other way around. And how householder does one roam about homeless? That was the question. The desire, lust, delight, craving, engagement and clinging, the mental standpoints, adherences and underlying tendencies regarding the form element, these have been abandoned by the Tathagata, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, obliterated, so that they are no more subject to future arising. Therefore, the Tathagata is called one who roams about homeless. So there are a few words over here. One is this, the desire, chanda. So we have marked this sensual desire in the diagram. So what is this sensual desire? First of all, that is this, the sensual desire is about this, beautiful objects in the world. It is not. Because if it is the case, then even Buddha can't escape out of that one. That there is this plans marked over here. It says in Pali, Sankappa Rago Purisassa Kamu. Sankappa, the plans are, those are the thoughts. For those thoughts, we get lust. So therefore we get this sensual desire come to arise from this one. To explain this one in a mundane terms, let us say that your table is broken and you want to construct a table. And then when you are going on shopping somewhere, then you actually see in a place they are selling these wood pieces that they are actually selling it for the half price, 50% off or something. And people are taking these wood pieces. You didn't think twice, you take those wood pieces and then you take home. You are very happy because I got these wood pieces cheap. And then having gone home, then you call a carpenter and then ask him to construct a table for you. Carpenter, having looked at these wood pieces, he would be saying, these are good for nothing. For example, from the rubber wood, you don't construct tables. Those days we don't, but nowadays we do. So although carpenter is condemning these things, aren't you trying to persuade the carpenter? Could you please use 2 pieces of wood instead of 1 and construct a table? Why is it? Because the thought that you got this wood pieces cheap, it is there. It is biting you. You know, in Sri Lanka, in rural areas, those little kids take a coconut husk bound by a rope and then they drag on. So the coconut husk is coming behind them. Likewise, that I got this wood pieces cheap, that thought about it is coming with you. Now I got it in my garden, I want to construct a table, that's what I want. What I am going to do with these wood pieces. So that is this sensual desire. On the third day, we are actually going to learn about sensual desire a little bit further. And the next term is the lust. So the lust is marked over here, birth to coveting and greed. This lust is making the bondage firm. Whatever bondage you have, then the lust is making it firm. It is the fetter of craving. It's called tanha sanyojana in Pali, fetter of craving. Now we mark the lust over here. Before I go and further mark all these Dhamma parts in this diagram, I need to explain this diagram a little bit. This is a vehicle. You see, this vehicle has got 2 wheels in the front, that you can see the physical nutriment and the birth is 2 wheels in the front. There are 4 back wheels, line, horse feet, the slender and the privilege door. We always talk, talk, and so the consciousness is flowing with it. So in the middle you can see there is some sort of a thing, that coveting and greed feeling, body tie of misapprehension, volitional formations and body tie of insistence that this is truth. And this particular one is called propeller shaft or drive shaft in a vehicle. You have seen old vehicles has got something underneath, it is rotating, giving the power to the back wheels. The coveting and greed, this one is called the universal joint. Now you can see what is it joining? To the physical nutriment. Your birth is linked to the physical nutriment from this one. Universally joined. No one can live without food, isn't it? So the feeling is the gearbox. You change gears. And in the contact as nutriment, this is the steering wheel. So you rotate this way, that way to go. And this vehicle has got brakes. You can see that this aging, there's a red line coming to aging. Another one coming to the sickness from the perception. The other one is come to the death. So even a 4-year-old boy, when he sees that his hand is, subject to aging, patch or something, then he stop playing. So you break. When you are sick, you are going to the bed and then you stop. And then the death is the last break for this particular birth. And this vehicle has got seats. And that is the body type of misapprehension is where the seats are. It has got plenty of seats. And you are the one opening the door and let people come in. And for example, let us say that in the office that you have to present something. So you present something and there are people, talking against you. Some people are actually pointing out mistakes or, some things to improve yourself. Some people, just because they have a mouth, they open the mouth and say something. So meeting is over, then you come to your desk, then you start another meeting. Either you alone, blaming those people. Or sometimes 2 or 3 people come to your desk and say, what you said is right, the other person said is wrong. And then you actually doing this one. So they are there. Those people are not there physically, but mentally inside your head. So mental rambling, going around, blaming and so on, those are there. So then how does this vehicle moves? Remember we were saying physical nutriment. When you are coming to the barb of lust, we go back to the physical nutriment. So it's like, that old cars where you actually put some sort of a metal thing, crank, and then you crank it. So it rotates. So then physical nutriment, barb of lust, going back to the physical nutriment. So this one, the propeller shaft, start rotating. And then from the volitional formations is transfer power to this line. So for this line to occur, you don't need much. If you take this leg as mind, that is good enough. In Sri Lanka, those 3-wheel drivers or the motorbike persons are actually showing you that leg is not yours. They come, hit you, and then when you go to the doctor is saying, you need to amputate it, cut it and put it out. When they cut it and put it out, do you take the leg in your shoulder and take, this is my leg? You don't even take it. So, we are taking, leg is mine, the baby is mine, the house is mine, car is mine, mine scenario. So, when you do that one, then this line, wheel is rotating. If one wheel is rotating, then all the other wheels moves. So, that's how the vehicle is moving. For you to understand this one, you can put a couple over here, and a girl and a boy. And the boy in the driving seat, girl in the passenger seat. And then when they are going on some trip, this girl is saying, on the top of this mountain, there is a beautiful hotel. So this boy is now rotating the steering wheel. So going to the top of the mountain, and the thoughts are coming to him. It's a hotel, it should be in the top of the mountain, it should be beautiful. It's a hotel, there must be food. And it's a hotel, there must be rooms. Although they think that way, this vehicle may not reach the top of the hotel, it might break down. So if it breaks down, then none of those thoughts, what he was actually thinking, come to materialize. So one good example is the Buddha. If you invite Buddha for alms giving, would the Buddha say, okay, I will come? Buddha never says. If he cannot come, he is saying, I cannot come. But if he is coming, then how people know that the Buddha accepted this one is Buddha be silent. So here, when you are coming to the meditation session, you are telling your parents and relatives or whatever, that I will go to the meditation session and come. Are we sure? We may die over here with a heart attack or something. We may die on the street. But we start with a sort of a lie. So the vehicle rotate. So in that vehicle we have marked this lust. And the next term in the list is the delight. So the delight, Nandi, is marked over here, next to the lust and coveting and greed. Remember we explained delight? You put some food into your mouth, from here to here, you sort of get the feeling, and then consciousness is aware of that feeling, and no longer consciousness passed away. And then what you do, you mix up again and put it inside your mouth to generate the same feeling, the same way. So the feeling come to arise, the consciousness come to arise, and it pass away. And now you take it longer term. So there is this birth, baby type body, that was subject to aging, sickness and death. The death means death of consciousness. What we do when the consciousness passes away? We contact the form and recreate it. So that delight means that you desire to be born after death. And then the next one is the craving. Craving is marked after the feeling. So, do we have craving all the time? We don't. Craving occurs after 8th round. You see someone and then you see that person as a beautiful person. It doesn't take another millisecond for you to find some sort of fault in that particular person's, maybe, pimple is there or something, some defect. Since you have seen someone without those pimples or something, then you get this sadness come to arise. Whenever you have the covetousness, then you get the sadness. But let's say you are actually looking at the hair of the person and you are holding to that one. Although you see the pimple, you still go with that hair. So you spin 8 rounds. When you spin 8 rounds, then your mind is sort of lethargic. Sloth and torpor, the sickness of the mind and sickness of the mental state has arisen. At that particular time, it is enough information for you to give up this one. But if you do not give up, that is after the 8th round, if you are not giving up, that is craving. Then after the craving, it's talking about engagement and clinging. The mental standpoints, adherences and underlying tendencies. So here we are talking about the distaste for whole world in the Girimananda Sutra, that Sabbaloke Anabrata Sanya, distaste for whole world. So the clinging, so the sensual desire clinging, which is not marked but we were looking at little while ago in that diagram, Vattu diagram. And then the contact as nutriment, virtue and duty clinging, it's also not marked but it is there. And then the mental volition as nutriment, we have view clinging, which has been marked over here. And then the consciousness as nutriment, the self-theory clinging is there. And then we are talking about the mental standpoints. In Pali it is called aditthana. As we have written over here, mental standpoints can be anywhere after the body ties. You see this line, body tie of covetousness, body tie of misapprehension, body tie of insistence, that this is truth. So that one could be anywhere. That floods you are looking at. So it becomes a standpoint for consciousness, mental standpoints. We are not going to meditate on that one. And then we do have the adherences. Adherences are marked over here. Next to the volitional formations, you can see it's abhinivesa is the Pali word. So here we are actually, we hold into these volitional formations, hold in them. And with the glue you actually stick something. Likewise, we stick into these ones. Do we like this line? We stick into those things. Harsh speech, frivolous talks and slander. We do. You see, when two people meet, always talk. So are we talking about the suffering? Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, arising and passing away phenomena. No, we talk about this cake is good, curry is good, and so on. So those are the frivolous talks. In the office also you like to talk. So we cling to those things. Harsh speech. Do we cling to harsh speech as well? We do. Sometimes one person is coming and utter word or two to you, and then that person go away. So you look at that person, and then you go into your friend and say, I want to tell him one or two words, but he didn't give you the chance because he left. So we want to blame, So harsh speech, we are clinging to that one. And again we are clinging to lying. That people who sell tea leaves, for example, that person is saying, this is the best tea leaves, and I am drinking it at home. He is not drinking it, but he is actually saying that one because he was trained. I remember one lawyer in Melbourne was telling me that law firm boss is telling him, you should tell every customer that this is the best law firm in the town. He knows that it is not the case, but he was sort of trained to do that one because of the job that they do that one. So we cling to these lies as well. And similarly slander. The slander, you can see that you want to separate your friend's friend, for example. The disparaging you were talking about, you want to separate your friend's friend. Now that is mental and this one is verbal in that sense. And do we like it? Yes, we do. Sometimes, to the temple, there are some people who are coming and they are slandering. And then one day you see these two persons are separated. These persons are separated, they are not talking to each other or something. And then someone is saying, it is good today. Those two persons are not slandering anymore, they are separated. Someone is saying, I did that. That he is the person who separated them. So we cling to those slander as well. When you have some sort of a clinging to the feeling, we call it craving. And when you attach to this volitional formation, so cling to that one, then we call it adherences. This line, harsh speech, clinging to that one. So the whatever relationship between the feeling to craving calls with the volitional formations to adherences. And one Brahmin asked Buddha about these adherences and that is this aditthana, resolution, mental standpoints, and the abhinivesa, the adherences, that is inclination. And then Buddha gave some examples, and Buddha said that, for example, king will have resolution of the king would be for power, and his adherences, inclination is for lands. That's why they put a bomb, and then so that they can actually spread the power. And a householder would have sort of a resolution as the skill. They want to learn. It looks like even the mother is knowing about this one. When you are sort of 4 years old, so you came to learn now, so you go to school. And then the adherences for a householder would be the activity. Sometimes people say this workaholics, like that one. So you get this sort of understanding about this, the resolution, aditthana, or the mental standpoints, and then the inclination. And then the third term is the tendencies. Anusaya. You see, the tendency to attachment lies latent in pleasurable feeling. Tendency to aversion lies latent in displeasure feeling. When there is a displeasure feeling, you tend to go for the aversion. You are angry, getting angry. Tendency to ignorance lies latent in neither pleasurable nor displeasure feeling. Those are the latent tendencies. So what it says is that Buddha has got rid of these things. Tathagata has cut off at the root. And again it says the desire, lust, delight and craving, the engagement and clinging, the mental standpoints, adherences and underlying tendencies regarding the feeling element, perception element, volitional formation element, the consciousness element. These have been abandoned by the Tathagata, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, obliterated so that they are no more subject to future arising. Therefore the Tathagata is called the one who roams about homeless. It is in such a way that one roams about homeless. So we have learned the Gatha, the first line, half of it we have learned. In Pali, what we learn is Okampahaya. And then the next one is this Aniketasari, the without abode. And Venerable Mahakachana explained that particular one, opposite of that one. And how householder does one roam about in an abode? By diffusion and confinement in the abode consisting of sign of form. One is called one who roam about in an abode. By diffusion and confinement in the abode consisting in the sign of sounds, sign of odors, sign of taste, sign of tactile objects, sign of mental phenomena. One is called one who roams about in an abode. So what it means is, by diffusion means spreading freely. Confinement to keep within bounds. This sort of important words over there. What it means? You see, when you look at someone, do you just look at the eye of that person, or would you rather scan from on the top to the bottom? You scan. You take a snapshot. And these things will be apparent, For example, now you come to the meditation session. After 2 or 3 weeks, let's say, 2 people meet and then say, can you remember the person on the 4th row? And the other person can't remember. Then you say, remember there was a pimple over here? Some sort of patch or something in the face. So that means you have observed that one. If the police is asking, you are saying this sort of a cloth and use taller, everything you give detail. It's like a snapshot. What I am saying here is that, Sri Lankans in Sri Lanka, when they apply butter to a piece of bread, they apply everywhere. No millimeter left over there. Every millimeter is covered. Like that one, you scan from the top to the bottom. And by doing that one, you grab. What you are grabbing is sign and features of that particular person. So when you do that one, what is spreading? The defilements. If that person is beautiful than you are, then you envy and disparaging and all those things that you meditated on will come to arise. And why is this Buddha using the similar terms? You see, when you are talking about Okampahaya, over there we are talking about the form element, household is the home of consciousness. And here also Buddha is talking about roam about in an abode, it's like a house. Why Buddha is using similar terms? Buddha does not use words without any understanding. Here we are talking about the cause and condition. They are 2 different things. The condition is a general thing. Cause is not that general. For example, a sprout come out from a seed. But for another sprout to arise, would this seed be sort of common? No, it will be another seed, isn't it? So it's not a general thing. So in that case, sprout to seed, you can say it is the cause. But anywhere in the world, for a sprout to arise, there must be water and the earth. So that is the general condition, true for everything. So that condition is called Pacchaya, and then the cause is called Hetu. So they are two different things. When Buddha was talking about dependent origination, Buddha says avidya paccaya sankara. Because of the ignorance, then the volitional formations come to be, the condition. So if something is external, then it is condition. Something is internal, then it is the cause. Now, when you look at a physical nutriment, for example, like let's say a flower, having look at a flower, one would be saying, this flower is beautiful. The other person is saying, it's not so for me. So that this particular quality is not, it was not in the flower itself, it was an internal thing. So you can see this perception of beauty, perception of pleasure, that sort of thing, they are internal. But some sort of a quality of a, let's say Benz car has got this type of seats, this type of features, the sign and features, that is external. So that is the condition. So Buddha is talking about the cause and the condition here. So when we say, how householder does one roam about in an abode? So here we are looking at the sign and features of that person, scanning and so on. So that is the condition. When we are talking about the form element household is the one home, is the home of consciousness, there we are talking about the cause. So then, Venerable Mahakaccana explained how householder does one roam about without abode. Diffusion and confinement in the abode consisting of the sign of forms, these have been abandoned by the Tathagata. Cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, obliterated, so that there are no more subject to future arising. Therefore, the Tathagata is called one who roam about without abode. In other words, Buddha, when he is looking at someone, he is not scanning from the top to bottom. He understands what is arising by doing that one is these defilements. So the diffusion and confinement in the abode consisting of the sign of sound, sign of odor, sign of taste, sign of tactile object, sign of mental phenomena, these have been abandoned by the Tathagata, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, obliterated, so that they are no more subject to future arising. Therefore the Tathagata is called one who roams about without abode. It is in such a way that one roams about without abode. So we have learned the first line of the Gatha. So then the Venerable Mahakaccana explained the next one. And how householder is one intimate in the village. Here householder, someone lives in association with lay people. He rejoices with them and sorrow with them. He is happy when they are happy and sad when they are sad. And he involves himself in their affairs and duties. It is such a way that one is intimate in the village. So what does that mean? Here a Buddhist monk live with the association of the lay people. When the lay person got a lottery ticket or winning, and then he is happy because his temple will be constructed, give good raw material, alms, food and so on. When the householder is losing money, he is not happy. So this is something to do with this sensual desire. The first term we were looking at. And then the other way around is explained, and how householder is one intimate with none in the village. Here householder, a bhikkhu, does not live in association with lay people. He does not rejoice with them or sorrow with them. He is not happy when they are happy and sad when they are sad. And he does not involve himself in their affairs and duties. It is in such a way that one is intimate with none in the village. For example, a bhikkhu who is going on the alms round, he would not be going thinking, this person in this house got the lottery ticket, I should be going there. Whatever thing he is getting for his, plate or patra, that's the one that he is actually using. So there's no sensual desire in that particular case. So we learn two lines. And then householder is one not rid of sensual pleasures. We are going to the third line of the Gatha. Here householder, someone is not devoid of lust, desire, affection, thirst, passion and craving in regard to sensual pleasures. It is in such a way that one is not rid of sensual pleasures. So every discourse, Buddha is going in these terms in that particular order. Why is it? Because it is the order that it is occurring. You see, first, remember our example about, you go into your table is broken, you want to construct a table. So you found some wood pieces, and that is the fifth round. We are rotating around. Remember I was telling physical nutriment, barb of lust, going back to the physical nutriment is a round. So you are going for 5 rounds, I got it cheap, is there. And in the 6th round, so now you have the thought that I got these wood pieces cheap. So at that particular round you get the lust for the thought that I got wood pieces cheap. So we are starting with the lust in the 6th round. And then the next one is the desire. Now I want to construct a table out of that one. So it's another step in the 6th round. And in the 6th round, there is another step, that affection. It could be written in the place of craving. It's called little craving, the affection. Prema is in the Pali word. It is not little. Sometimes it can take you to a sort of plane of departure. And the next one is the thirst. The thirst is that these volitional formations enter in the body type of misapprehension as permanent. If you die at that particular time, then there is a good chance that you can go to the plane of departure. Good example is, let's say, a mother, when the baby is sort of, let's say, 1 year old or something, 2 year old, then uttering, mom and sort of good speech. And then that particular time, if you die, the mother passed away, it's possible that mom is going to the plane of departure. Let us say mom was fortunate enough to go to the mind-made body, and she is looking at the baby. Baby is saying mom and so on. Other people are cuddling and giving the food and looking after and so on. When the baby came to the stomach, mother thought that I will be with this baby for a long time. These are permanent. Volitional formations are permanent. That's what she thought. Although she passed away, then she can't actually get rid of that idea of the permanency. So she is thinking, I am the one should be feeding the baby. I am the one should be hearing these things. So what can you do if you want to have that one? Then if you go to another mother's womb, you will be separated from this baby. So if you want to be that baby, then you have to go to the plane of departed. So in that house, you can look at the baby, go somewhere, coming back and looking at the baby. So what the mother had about the baby was this little craving, affection, prema in Pali. So that's why it is, this is in the 6th round, but in the 7th round, volitional formations as permanent enter in the body type of misapprehension. If you die, then you can go to this plane of departed. And then the next one is after the thirst is the passion. The passion is, you see, every round has got 7 steps. And we don't go into that details over here. Now we have gone through the 7 steps in 7 rounds. And to explain this one, when you are young, you can go to work and you can get quashed in a bus or something. You can tolerate that one. And when you go to work, you can do the work as well. Lunchtime when you are eating, your taste buds are good, so you get the taste. What happened to you when you are old? You can't even get up. You can't go to work. And when they say do this and do that, it's difficult for you to do that as well. And the lunchtime when you are eating, it's like there's no taste because the taste buds are gone. And by that time you are actually thinking, for what purpose then I am actually coming to work? There's not happiness over here. Coming to work, doing the work or eating, I don't have happiness. But you still may be thinking, my grandson is there. Probably I will buy some sort of a toy or something for him to play. So you are not giving up. So in other words, since your taste buds are gone, then you have this change. The feeling has changed. So they are painful. So they are entering from the left to the body type of misapprehension. And also these volitional formations, now doing the works, that sort of thing, it is suffering. They are entering from the right side, entering the misapprehension as suffering. So then you are actually going the painfulness as pain. So that is this 7th round, 7th thing. So that is what we say passion. And then we have the craving. So as I said, after the 8th round, this person is actually not giving up. My little boy is there, I will help him or something. You are not going to get retired or something. So then you get this craving over here after the 8th round. It is happening in that order. That's why Buddha is actually explaining in that way. And then the other way around. And how household is one? Rid of sensual pleasures. Here household someone is devoid of lust, desire, affection, thirst, passion and craving in regard to sensual pleasures. It is in such a way that one is rid of sensual pleasures. You see, Buddha, for example, he won't be spinning. We were talking about the 5th round, the 6th round, 7th round and so on. Buddha does not spin at all. Because Buddha knows what is actually going to arise, this lust, desire, affection and so on. Much trouble. So we have learned 2.5 lines of this Gatha. And then the other part of this 3rd line is, and how householder does one entertain expectations. So the expectations are marked over here as plans. We do have these expectations. In the Sutta Nipata it's saying this, honoring a preconceived view. We always do that one. Preconceived view. One example is, let's say, someone here says that to his wife that I will go about 300 kilometers or so to this particular place tomorrow morning and then come back in the afternoon. Tomorrow morning comes, wife is saying, could you please go, around 10 o'clock or so? Husband doesn't like it because he got the plan. Because of the plan there is a view. Now view is coming first. And so that is the honoring a preconceived view. So, and how householder does one entertain expectations? It's talking about your plans. Here householder, someone thinks, may I have such form in the future? May I have such feeling in the future? May I have such perception in the future? May I have such volitional formations in the future? May I have such consciousness in the future? It is in such a way that one entertain expectations. You see what it means? It means that maybe you are going on a road, then you see in front of you a beautiful person in the sense that you see a nose is beautiful. Now you are thinking, let me have such a nose in the future. We are talking about the nose that snot is coming out. But you are actually thinking, let me have that sort of thing in the future. And one person was actually telling me that he is poor in this birth, in this life, because he has not given alms food to Buddhist monks. Donations and things hasn't done. He is not a poor person. Now what he is actually doing now, he is giving alms and alms food and so on. What is the plan? So I can be born rich in the next birth. So now that is the third line, that expectation, plan, your plans. And the other way around is explained, and how householder is one without expectations. Here householder, someone does not think, may I have such form in the future? May I have such feeling, perception, volitional formation and consciousness in the future? It is in such a way that one is without expectations. For example, Buddha is not thinking, let me have this type of nose in the next birth also, because he knows it is suffering. So now we are going to the fourth line of the Gatha. And how householder does one engage people in dispute? Here householder, someone engages in such talk as this. You don't understand this Dhamma and discipline. I understand this Dhamma and discipline. What you understand this Dhamma and discipline? You are practicing wrongly. I am practicing rightly. What should have been said before? You said after. What should have been said after? You said before. I am consistent. You are inconsistent. What you took so long to think out has been overturned. Your thesis has been refuted. Go off to rescue your thesis, for you are defeated. Or disentangle yourself if you can. It is in such a way that one engage people in dispute. In a way that, that you go to an argument with someone and then you won. So you are saying your thesis has been refuted, you go and fix it. That we all those talks that we are talking about, they are actually forming from this particular belt. There is a belt from here, physical nutriment, contact as nutriment, feeling, coveting and greed. And you rotate that belt because of the craving, and then you get views. So we put our views first. Having done this planning, we got the views. So when someone is coming and sort of telling you about something, and if you know it is the other way around, then you straight away bombard that particular person with your own views. And Buddha knows that this, when someone is coming, that he is actually because of this view that they are actually fighting. So Buddha does not have those wrong views, so therefore Buddha is asking him a question to help him out of that particular scenario. One good example is Dīghanaka Sutta. Dīghanaka went to the Buddha and said, I am of the view, I am of the opinion, nothing is pleasant to me. And then Buddha is asking that the view of yours that nothing is pleasant to you, isn't that pleasant to you? So Dīghanaka actually gave a good answer. So accordingly Buddha managed to, send him to the path of enlightenment. So we normally put our views first to the other person. So the other way round is now explained. And how householder does one not engage people in dispute? Here householder, someone does not engage in such talk as this. You don't understand this Dhamma and discipline. He is not going to argue. It is in such a way that one does not engage people in dispute. So we learn 4 lines of Gatha now. Thus householder, when it was said by the Blessed One, in the questions of Mahagandhi of the Athakkavagga, having left home to roam without abode, in the village sage is intimate with none, rid of sensual pleasures without expectations. He would not engage people in dispute. It is in such a way that the meaning of this stated in brief by the Blessed One should be understood in details. Okay, so this diagram is a really good one for the meditation. And here you can see we have marked this perception of beauty. The perception of beauty, you see, having seen something, a beautiful person or something, you are saying it's a beauty. What is there is actually the excrement, urine and so on. But we say is beauty. Another example is that you go into somebody's house and then you see that there's a plate of cutlets. Someone is actually bringing a plate of cutlets and putting in front of you. And then you get all of a sudden, cutlet is there. It's like light, coming to your mind. And then let us say the next moment, and someone else coming and taking the whole plate and go away, and then you are looking at what happened over here. There's no happiness, no pleasure. So in other words, when you can actually spin with the barb of lust, that cutlet is there, then that means you are adding the permanency. So when you add the perception of permanency to the perception of beauty, then you get the perception of pleasure. That's why the cutlet is there, therefore there is this pleasure. So when there is this pleasure, then you take it as self. Remember my mango example. You earn money, then pay all the bills. Having paid the bills, then you are left with $10 or so, then you went to have a fun. So you went to the mango dealer, what you found was rotten mango. So you thought that this is sort of a thing, cheap and it's really good for me, it's a gain. Take the mango, cut down the mango and you eat. So when you eat the mango, then the pleasure is there. So that pleasure becomes the self. You see, you define your life at that point. So the volition is there. This is what I am going to do. I will earn money, pay the bills, save $10 and eat a mango. So then you get the perception of self. We also said that you get the self. Remember that surfboard example in a beach? You are going in that surfboard and then you get the self. I am here, I feel, I perceive and so on. So now you get the perception of self and then you have a plan. In the case of mango example, I managed to save $10. If I can save $10.50, then I can have a better mango. So that is your plan. So when you have a plan, then you are going through the self-theory clinging. Attavādupadāna. Having pursued the self, like that surf person in the surfboard, and then you cling to it. When you have that, then you do one of these things. Lying, harsh speech, slander, and frivolous talks. You can see there's a line from slander, going through the adherences, and then you are coming to the view clinging. There are another 3 lines which we have not marked. One is coming from the line, the other one from the harsh speech, the other one from the frivolous talks. 3 lines coming and going through these adherences, coming back to the view clinging. So it's like that we went to the right side, going through a roundabout, we came back to the same spot. So when you have the view clinging, then you get the appropriation. So this appropriation, this parigraha in Pali word, to me explain that one. You need to start from the beginning. So the physical nutriment, then you get the contact. When you have the contact, you get the feeling. Because of the feeling, then you have craving. When you have craving, you have the appropriation. You see, the appropriation of external objects lead to what is called my-making. It's mine. So when you regard something as mine, then it is pleasurable. For example, if you have a Benz car in your house, then it is good for you. It's pleasurable. It is not pleasurable, the Benz car in the next house. It is mine. So when you have the perception of pleasure, It has a characteristic of going to the contact affected by the tails. So from the perception of pleasure, we are going to the contact. Now you can see we start with the physical nutriment, we ended up with the contact. This is dangerous. When you have that one would be feeling like, committing suicide sometimes. The young couple, husband and wife is there. When they are young, one person passed away, the other person will feel like, I don't want to live anymore, I want to do that one. I want to commit suicide as well. So, what is happening over here? To explain that one, let us say, I'll take a couple of examples. When I was working in Australia, I used to walk along a lake area, and there were a couple of other friends coming with me. They were coming to ask this Dhamma actually. Then I pointed at the water in the lake and I asked one of those persons, what do you think? That person straight away went to Sri Lanka. In Anuradhapura, there's some sort of a lake and some sort of incident he had, he went there. So you see the muddy water you see over here, you go from Australia to Sri Lanka from your mind. It's like that when there is dust, if you put a coin to that dust, dust get unsettled. If there is no dust, there's nothing to get unsettled. So, going a little bit further to explain this one. Let us say you are in Sri Lanka, then you want to cross the, road. There is a yellow line, you wait until the, vehicles slow down. On the other side of the road, maybe a beautiful person, like, they say Malini Fonseka or some sort of a, and then that person was not the Malini Fonseka, somebody else. So it was triggering something, in your mind, some sort of a picture you had. That person is crossing the road, and that person might have a cough. The one that you had does not have the cough. That person might die because of a car accident, but the one that you constructed is not dying. It is there. So this is the problem. You see, you take your wife, let's say it's physical nutriment, and then its contact, the feeling, craving, appropriation, my-making, pleasurable feeling, we are coming back to the contact. So now it is unreal. Because if it is going to the physical nutriment, wife is dead, therefore your thought will die with it. But since it's going to the contact, now it is actually going through the loop. So that is the real and the unreal part. So you feel like committing suicide. So what is this appropriation? The appropriation English word, the dictionary definition is really good one for that. When you look at someone, that person is giving you the permission to look my body, this part and that part. That person is not giving any permission. So without the permission from the owner, you go and grab hold of a body part over there, and then it is mine. So that is the appropriation of external object that led to my making. This is mine. So you are holding to that one. So for what? For you to have it. So therefore, my making, you get the pleasure. And because of the pleasure, you come to the contact. It is just rotating over here. That is this appropriation. And then you can see from the appropriation, you get the tendencies. From the tendencies, you are going to the obsession. To explain this obsession part, when I was working in Sri Lanka, I had a colleague of mine, very educated person, but he was drinking alcohol very heavily. So he collapsed one day, and then doctors rehabilitated him and said, don't drink, if you drink you will die. So there was a party in the uni, he came to that one, and then he was with me because I am not drinking alcohol. And all of a sudden his body started shaking. The hands started shaking, mouth started shaking, and I was asking, what's going on? He said, I want to drink something. Because he can see from the far away that people are there behind me, they're drinking alcohol. He says that if someone is drinking alcohol, if he sees that one, then he need to either pour a glass of water or something and sort of sip it like drinking alcohol. So what he did at that particular moment, he actually got this orange juice and started sipping that one. What did he do? See, he violated the fifth precept, taking intoxicating drinks. So not taking one, he violated that one. So that is the lack of virtue. So which is on the right side. Can be marked on the right side over here. So because of that, your lack of virtue, then you are obsessed. Now you can see, now here, when we talk about this particular loop, that the perception of beauty, pleasure, and the perception of self, going to the right side, coming back. So it's like a roundabout. Let's cut down the roundabout. Then you can see that after the pleasure, view clinging, appropriation, tendency, and the obsession. So because of the lack of virtue, we are going in samsara, birth to birth. You see this obsession, to what extent you are obsessed, to that extent you have the mental volition. To the extent that you have the mental volition, then to that extent you get the obsession. So this is going round and round. So because of the not having the virtue. So this diagram is a very valuable diagram, and that we constructed this one to discuss what is called Aditta Pariyaya Sutta, fire sermon discourse. And in that particular discourse, Buddha was telling that it would be befitting for someone to lacerate the eye with a red hot iron pin rather than to go and grab and hold sign and features of a thing. Buddha said why he is telling that one. If someone dies at that particular moment, that person will be born in hell or the animal realm. And said the same thing for the ear. It would be befitting to lacerate the ear with a red hot iron pin rather than to go and grab sign and hold into the sign and features of a sound. And Buddha said same thing for your body as well. Befitting to use a razor blade and cut down your stomach, rather than hold into these forms. And then for the mind also Buddha said, sleeping is a barren for life. It would be befitting for someone to sleep rather than to pay the sisam in Sangha, the order. So someone can go to hell or animal realm when they, hold of, sign and grabbing sign and features of a thing. I saw in my concentration. I saw if someone dying at this particular moment, the adherences, that person can go to hell or animal realm. I saw in the mental volition, with the barb of views, it's actually spinning very fast. The consciousness as nutriment, with the barb of delusion, it is spinning. And if you die over here, then you go to hell or animal realm. Which can be explained from a very small discourse of the Buddha in enumerated saying, Anguttara Nikaya. That over there Buddha is saying that there are 4 losses. That is loss of a property and loss of a kin, your relatives, loss of a virtue, loss of a view. Those are the 4 losses. And Buddha said, no one is going to hell or animal realm because you lose your property and your relatives, kins. But if you lose views and then the virtue, then you are going to hell or animal realm. Which can be seen from this diagram. See, for over here you can put a Benz car or some earrings or something you like to eat or food. Then you look at the perception of beauty and the perception of pleasure, then perception of self. So when you are coming from left to right, when you see perception of self, that means it's a wrong view. It's not the right view. So you lost the right view, coming from left to right. And then you have a plan, go through the self-theory thinking, you do one of them. That is lying. Regarding leg gas mind is also good enough. So then that means, when you take it as lying, that is lack of virtue. You don't have the virtue. So you can see, from the left to right, you lost the right view. From the right to left, you lost the virtue. So, not having the virtue and the right view, then you are going to hell or animal realm. And again, can you see this appropriation place? There is a small arrow going to the bodhicitta of misapprehension. There is a path over here going to the bodhicitta of insistence and then coming to the going bad way through fear and coming to the feeling which is not marked over here. So remember, we were telling little while ago, when we are describing this appropriation, contact, feeling, craving, appropriation, mind making, pleasurable perception of pleasure, and you are coming back. So there's another path over here, spinning very fast. The other one is spinning this way, very fast. And I saw it's faster than the place in the adherences. And then I said to Sampati Mahabrahma, this is very dangerous. He said, yes. If you die in that particular moment, you are going to hell only. So we learn the place where we are going to hell. We learn the place that is the adherence place. If you die, we are going to hell or animal realm. And if you die when the volitional formations, you are taking permanent and entering the misapprehension while you have affection over here, prema, then you can go to Preta world. So in the Akanita Brahma realm, there is this great council of Arahants. There are 14 Arahants. And in that particular council, the first chair belonging to the Buddha. You might be thinking, how can Buddha have councils? You know, Buddha is devoid of lust and so on. How can he has a council? The Buddha has councils over on earth also. You know, Venerable Moggallana and Sariputta, two chief disciples, is a council. And there are these 80 great disciples, is another council. The Buddha has counsel not only on earth, but beyond, in the Akanita also. So the Buddha is not there today, so that chair is empty. When a Buddha is come to arise, then that chair is first chair is belong to the Buddha. So here, in our world, we are saying Buddhaphiya, father type thing for the Buddha. And those worlds are counted beyond over here, human worlds, divine. Brahma, they sometimes put into one category, all divine. And so they are saying, for the Buddha there is a different name, that it is like that Buddha of the divine beings. Like we are saying our Buddha of the human beings, the Buddha of the divine beings. But the same Buddha. The senior monk in the rank is called Buddhaphiya. So Sampati Mahabrahma's teacher is Tapassi Buddhaphiya. And I call him Tapassi Buddhasiya. This Tapassi Buddhasiya one day asked me a question. He was asking, what is the consequence of drinking alcohol? And I know one discourse in Anguttara Nikaya that says if someone is drinking alcohol very heavily, when he passes away, that he can be born in hell, animal realm, or plane of departed. By any chance, if he were to born in human world, then he is a mad person. We can see this one, isn't it? When a mad person drinking alcohol, while that person is living, he is sort of fighting with you, scolding you and so on, living like a mad person. What can you expect after death? So I answer in this way, using that discourse, and then Tapasya Buddhasiya was asking, why is it? It is happening that way. Then it was the time that we have constructed this diagram, then I was thinking, it may be because of this plan. When I was pondering on that one, Tapasya Buddhasiya asked me to look up. Up is the mental volition over here. That is correct, isn't it? Because of the volition, the karma come to be. Then I was thinking, why is it? Then it came to my mind, if someone has, got this alcohol in the bloodstream, then that person is lethargic. He has got this sloth and torpor, sickness of the mind and sickness of the mental state. In that case, you don't have effort. From the effort, you get rid of those sensual thought, ill thought and harming thought. Since you don't have effort, the sensual thought, ill thought, harming thought persist within you. And then if they are persisting, then your consciousness like it. Sensual thought, ill thought and harming thought. When my mind come to that stage, Tapasya Buddhasiya was asking me, where do you get those sensual thought, ill thought and harming thought? Most of it. I remember the hell. They have these harming thoughts. They remove my flesh and so on. And also, the ill thoughts are there. I know very well. For the sensual thought, I know that in the hell, these men are sleeping with men. I was trying to contemplate the other way around. Tapasya Buddhasiya said, no need to contemplate. It is there in the hell. You see, hell is like this underworld. In the underworld, they kill living beings, they take drugs, they kill living beings and rape women and so on. No rule. So the hell is like that one. You see, what is the biggest animal that you have seen on the land side? The elephant, isn't it? As I said, we all are getting happiness from eating food. Although you have a job and all those things, if there aren't any food in the world, you are not even going to work. So it's completely depending on this food. So food is the main thing for your happiness. So if you see an animal in the hell, it's really big. I have seen animals that it is more wider than this building over here from left to the right, and it is stretching to that ground area on the other side across the road, really big. For these animals, sort of the body, the big body and the area that you are in, it's like they have sort of trapped this animal and take the flesh out of that. So they boil it, cook it, and then fry it and so on. They eat. So that's how the hell is. So the food is there. It is suffering because the conditions are not good, but the food, the happiness, sensual pleasures are there. It's the way, whatever way you want to live, you are actually living with, women and so on, with the food and sort of way. So if you are going on shopping, are you going to a shop that selling lot of things that you want to buy, or are you going to a shop that they are selling a little bit of it? Naturally, you are going to the shop selling quite a lot of that. So, if you are shopping for sensual thought, ill will thought and harming thought, where is it available? It is the hell. Hell is the one which is mostly available. That's why most of the human beings, living beings, going to hell after that one. Nobody is dragging you over there. Nobody is pulling you over there. It is your consciousness. Consciousness is getting established over there. That people are asking, why is it my consciousness? Take me over there. Although we term it's my consciousness, consciousness does not have that something called mind. It's a stream, like a water stream. Water stream is just flowing. There is nothing mind sort of scenario in that one. So, if you are sort of train your mind to have sensual thought, ill will thought and harming thought, now stream is heading towards the hell. So, it's like on a rainy day, now maybe let us say you have a drought, and then on a rainy day, the water is dropping after the drought, and you are very happy. Now you are actually thinking, it will be really good. Now this water is going through my veggie patches and going through my flower beds and so on. But is it so? It's going through the canal, for the water, low lying. So if you have trained your mind to have a sensual thought, ill thought and harming thought, that is where it is heading. No one is dragging. You train your consciousness to have those things. Now you learn, the consequences of drinking alcohol as well. At this particular time, Sahampati Mahabrahma was there and he was telling that is why when the Bodhisattva was doing this experiment in forest area, going here and there, walking, and what Bodhisattva has done, the RN experiment, RN research. And then, that people say that this particular forest is really scary. The Bodhisattva went to that forest. And then he was actually going here, walking up and down. And then maybe a peacock or something dropping some sort of a stick or something, getting some sort of a noise. So Bodhisattva was thinking, this is what they are talking about, the fear. But when a Bodhisattva is walking, when the fear comes to him, he did not stop walking. We will be running, but Bodhisattva keep on, walking up and down until the fear passes away. If he is sitting down, he gets the fear. He is just staying in that particular posture until the fear passes away, because he knew if you die without effort, virya, effort, that you can be born, hell or animal realm scenario. So, now how do we going to do the meditation? I will tell you the simplest meditation. For the simplest meditation is that you put over here as a physical nutriment something you like to eat, or maybe a earring, or maybe a Benz car, whatever appealing to you. And then think in terms of cause and conditions. The cause is that beauty, pleasure and the self. The condition is that Benz car has got this particular feature. If you put a person over there, that person's body is such and such a way. So that is the condition. So you are coming over here, you can see when you get the perception of self, that means you lost the right view, what you get is a wrong view. And then you have a plan, and then it going to self-theory clinging, and then you do one of these things lying. What will happen if you die on this particular spot? Adherences. You haven't got the view, right view is no longer, you don't have the virtue. If you die, you go to hell or animal realm. And then you are asking yourself, is it befitting for me to go to hell or animal realm? Wouldn't it be better for me to give up this desire for this lying, harsh speech, slander, and the frivolous talks. Because now you have the virtue. Therefore, you are not going to hell. Buddha said you got to. If you don't have the virtue and the view, then now you do have the virtue. You see, what's the point of having frivolous talks? When I was working in Australia, in our office we have this morning tea on Friday around 10 o'clock. We take these cheese, biscuits and so on. And then we have frivolous talks. Networking, team sort of scenario. What we had as a rule was, you can't talk work. You can talk any other, frivolous talks. So I went to that particular place. I was eating these cheese and biscuits, but I didn't utter these frivolous talks. If they asked me a question, then I would answer, that's all. After sometimes they started appreciating me. They said, you are really good. You don't have these frivolous talks as we do. And then you are doing your job very well as well. So you can do it over here in this country as well. It's not the frivolous talks that is needed. You are given a job, then you do the job. So the harsh speech, what's the point of having harsh speech? If you blame someone, that person will blame you back. So then both are getting upset. And you are going to hell as well. So what's the point of doing that? And the lie. Some people are telling me, because of the company I am working, I do have to lie. Well, then in that case, is it befitting for you to go to hell? That's the question you need to ask. You see, you may be earning $50,000, but would you buy 50,000 lunch packets out of that one? You don't. You take only one lunch packet or something, for a month, for a year, 365 into 3 or something. So, where is the money going? Money is not going to the food. It's going to the house, the big house, the big car and so on. Now, if you have to do, lying job, what you can do? You can go for a simple job. Maybe you are getting 25,000, still you can eat. And you are not going to hell in that scenario. And then what's the point of having slander? So you give up this lying, harsh speech, slander, and the frivolous talks. You see, we do this meditation for getting rid of this attachment to this lying, harsh speech, frivolous talks and slander. It's called Sabbaloki Anabirata Sanya, where that is the contemplation of distaste for the whole world. We are not talking about the mental standpoints, although it has 3 parts, we are not going to do that one. We are not talking about the tendencies, anusaya. We are not meditating at this moment. We are only meditating, only the adherences. So, some people might thinking, what is the big deal over here? Lying, harsh speech, simple things, isn't it? I can tell you when we had these meditation sessions in Australia, in Canberra, long time ago. There was one old lady, maybe 82 years or something like that one. And she is the one come to the attainment first, before any other person. And then I was asking Sampati Mahaprabhu how that happened. And then he said, Sampati Mahaprabhu said, this particular person, isn't she silent? She is not talking. The other people, tea time and so on, talking, this person is silent and, quietly staying with the Dhamma. So when you talk and so on, then you have this mental rambling. When you are talking, you are actually looking at digging the other people, some sort of a thing, and then your mind is not quiet, troublesome. So when you don't have this initial application, sustained application, you are putting effort to get this initial application, sustained application, to utter speech. When you don't have those things, your mind is very calm. Then you get the concentration due to mind. For that mind, you can take the Dhamma very well. So, give it a go. Think about this line, harsh speech, frivolous talks and slander. Try to get rid of. This is the first meditation. That is the simplest one. For the longer meditation, you need to look at how the Venerable Mahakaccana explained in this Dhamma, paragraph by paragraph. If you can't remember up to that one, then you might be remembering some. Then there is a middle meditation you can do. You see, in the first line, first column, physical nutriment, Buddha has got rid of this perception of beauty. That is, having seen some sort of a excrement, urine and so on, then we are saying beauty. It's a wrong thing, isn't it? Wrong perception. Buddha got rid of it. And the obsession to it. And the sensual desire. The clinging to sensual desire. And then the lust. And the delight for you to be born because of this excrement, urine and sort of scenario. Buddha got rid of it. You think, I will do the same. I will get rid of it at this particular moment. And the contact as nutriment. And there is this virtue and duty clinging, holding the future. And there is another lie over here, perception of pleasure. We are saying pleasurable, while the Buddha is saying it is suffering. So this one is the third lie. How do you get the third lie? It is made from this perception of beauty. For the excrement, we are saying beautiful. And then we add, remember the cutlet example, cutlet is there. So you are adding the permanency, which is also a wrong thing, isn't it? That's another lie. So out of two lies, we made the third one, pleasurable. You take the mango, cut down the rotten part, eat, and you are saying this is pleasurable. But Buddha is saying what is in the world is suffering. So while Buddha is saying it is not, it is suffering, we are saying no sir, when I eat the mango it is pleasurable. So that is the third lie over here. So Buddha got rid of that one. And in the craving for those pleasures and the appropriation tendencies. So Buddha got rid of, let me get rid of. And on the third line, column, you can see mental volition. So with the perception of self. That is the fourth lie. Why? The perception of beauty, first lie, and you add the permanency, the second lie, so you get the pleasure. The pleasure became the self. And clinging to that one, we are clinging. Buddha got rid of it. Let me get rid of it. And in the fourth line, fourth column, you can see that is the line, harsh speech, slander and frivolous talks. Buddha got rid of it. Let me get rid of it. And my adherence, my clinging to those things, let me get rid of that one. And the plans and the self-theory clinging. So then you are getting rid of quite a lot over there. So start with the shortest meditation. And then you do the middle one. And then if you have the time, you can do the lengthy meditation. So let's have a discussion for 15 minutes or so. And then we will do the meditation.